Welcome to the Imaginal Life podcast. I'm Frances LaCuesta, and I help women thrive and live a life they love. Together, we'll explore how to tap into our potential, unlock possibilities, and find beauty in this messy and imperfect journey we call life. Hey there, friends. In today's episode, I want to talk about striving. And so let's start with the dictionary definition. Striving, according to Merriam-Webster, is trying hard to do or achieve something, or struggle or fight forcefully. And so I know that as a competent and brilliant woman that you are, you sometimes might find yourself in constant pursuit of doing, of pushing, and striving. While achieving things is important, definitely, life is not just about constantly striving for external accomplishments. It's essential to reflect on the toll that this constant pursuit can take. And so focusing solely on reaching a future destination, it can actually lead us to overlook what's genuinely essential. And so what if instead of trying to get there to somewhere in the future, what if we are already here? And where we are now is where we are meant, where we are supposed to be. Because I just feel that there is that energy in the world right now that it seems like there is a never-ending cycle of feeling inadequate or incomplete. And I know for sure that there will always be another mountain to climb, another ocean to cross, and another challenge to face. And it's never ending. And if there is always that feeling of striving, then it's like we'll never be able to get to our destination if we don't also appreciate what we have in the here and now. So our minds, we tend to dwell in the past or in the future because that is just its nature. But while we may daydream and envision of who we could become in the future, and I am a firm believer of that, of envisioning our future selves, I'm also a believer of relishing and celebrating what we already have. And I recall a time when I was on the verge of an emotional breakdown. I was caught in a constant cycle of doing, of learning, and overcommitting. And it was an endless grind that led to burnout. And so eventually, circumstances forced me to just take a step back and reflect on what is going on. And I realized that I needed a break. And that somehow was manifested in my body. And I had to undergo a major surgery. And so I had to make a decision to quit my job and went on a medical leave. I may look put together on the outside, but inside I was unraveling. Initially, I actually feared that, my life would come to a halt during that break, but I soon realized the importance of it. I realized that my well-being was actually far more critical than any external validation. I began to listen to what my body was telling me, and what it was trying to tell me was to slow down. And so during my time in the hospital, and I was enduring this excruciating pain and some physical limitations, I focused on what I was experiencing at that moment. And so I was really in deep pain. And what I did was, instead of me just complaining about it, I zeroed in on the pain and I observed its cycles. And not only did I notice the pain itself, but I also noticed the sense of release. And so I soon realized that I was getting better when I was feeling more moments of relief than moments of pain. And so surrendering to that experience allowed the pain to dissipate eventually. As I gradually healed, I learned to appreciate and celebrate my small triumphs. So maybe like just taking a few steps each day without wincing in pain, or being able to do things on my own without requiring any assistance, or just regaining my appetite. When I was being impatient, I noticed that I slowed down the healing process because I would be stressed out. But when I took the time, I allowed my body to heal on its own. And so, what are we genuinely striving for? Especially in this frantic world where we live in, where there's a tendency to want to do more, go beyond what is expected, and keep pushing. What if we tell ourselves that sometimes it's okay to loosen up and know when what we have put in is already enough? Let's experiment a little. Take a moment to notice the sensations in your body when you hear the word strive or striving. For me, it feels like there's a heavy sensation in my belly and my chest tightens. And there's also a feeling of exhaustion. And so how can we let go of this constant striving? For me, the antidote is surrender. And now, how does surrender feel in your body? Go ahead. If you'd like, you might want to close your eyes, or just allow yourself to experience what it's like. What is surrender? What does it feel in your body? For me, it feels like a sense of release. And so I likened it to, and you can also do this, try this. Try to clench your fists and Notice what it feels like when you clench your fists. For me, there's a feeling of tension, right? A tightness. And now slowly just releasing your fists. And just noticing that when you unclench your fists, that the fingers just start to unfurl on its own. And then for me, there's that sense of release, and my body relaxes, and my breathing, it steadies. And so this is the essence of striving versus surrendering. And we can bring a sense of ease into our lives when we surrender to the present moment. So I would just like to point out that surrendering does not mean you're giving up. Instead, it's about allowing space for what wants to emerge. It also means creating room for rest, for savoring, and embracing the awe and wonder of life. Because life is not about just constantly pushing and striving. When we only focus on acquiring, on getting, and achieving, sometimes we tend to miss out on life. And so this reminds me of a story from Zen teacher Thich Nhat Hanh. He shared his experience of washing dishes in a monastery, noting that while our minds often find the task unpleasant, I don't really enjoy washing the dishes myself, he said that he also finds pleasure in the unpleasant. So, by immersing himself fully in the task of washing the dishes, he savors the sensation of the water and the act of scrubbing. If he were to hurry through the task, and if he was eager to finish and move on to the next, he said that he would miss on the pleasure it brings. Because for him, there is value in washing the dishes for the sake of washing the dishes, without any agenda or without rushing. It's about being fully present and just accepting that at that moment, that's all he's doing, washing dishes. Even if it's not the most pleasant thing to do in the world or fix everything. But this doesn't mean that we won't accomplish our goals or get things done. On the contrary, our actions will come from a place of meaning, of wisdom, and appropriateness to the situation. And I also wanted to point out that striving is not inherently wrong. In fact, we also need to do it. But it only becomes an issue when it takes a toll on our mental and emotional well-being. Unconscious striving can lead to dissatisfaction and a sense of never being enough. And so, what to do instead? I say, strive with intention. But what does that mean? What does it mean to strive with intention? For me, it's answering the questions. Why am I doing what I'm doing? What is this for? And so I have to clarify within myself, what is the intention behind what I'm doing? Is it for money? Is it for getting noticed? Is it being liked? Is it for a form of validation? Or is it to improve my life and the life of others? Is it to spread kindness? Is it to promote a greater well-being? If it's not rooted in something real or genuine, or something that is aligned with your values, then it will only be a matter of time before you experience burnout or lose steam, because your context is not bigger than you. To end this, finding a balance between striving and surrendering is essential. I know it's challenging to walk the line where one part of you wants to make the most of your life by being in the moment. And there's another part of you that wants to put in your time and energy on doing something without settling for anything less than a life you would love. And I believe it is possible. By embracing the present moment, cultivating mindfulness, and living with intention, we can discover a more profound sense of fulfillment, wisdom, and well-being in our lives, while also working towards the fulfillment of our dreams. And that's it for today, my dear Imaginal friends. I'd love to hear from you. Say hello or drop me a message on Instagram. Look for @BigImpactWomen. Until next time, bye for now. Thank you for listening. You can read and download a full transcript at bigimpactwomen.com/The Imaginal Life. If you like this episode and want to hear more, hit the subscribe button in your favorite podcast app. If you feel moved and inspired, head to iTunes and leave us a review. I love hearing your feedback on how we can continue to grow and evolve the program. I believe when women come together, we can co-create humanity's new story and contribute our gifts to the world.